is this idea out there in spiritual realms that you don't actually need to do anything to wake up, that you are already enlightened, that you're already in a natural state. And in this video I want to explain where this idea comes from and how you should view it, in my opinion. This idea comes from enlightened people who have spent mostly, if they haven't been lucky, which is very, very rare, but they mostly have spent a lot of time and effort undermining the self-structure. They have seen through the self-structure through a lot of practice. And by doing that, by having done so, they realize that it was illusory in the first place and that you are never really a separated self. From that perspective of being in the non-dual state, of being awake, it is easy to say, oh, there is nothing to do, you are already enlightened. But I think it's a really bad pointer, it's a really bad teaching to give to people who want to wake up. Because then they will never practice, and practice is certainly necessary in order to really eliminate the foundation of the self-structure. So once you are through that process, you see how that is really doing a disservice to certainly beginners, but also many other people, intermediary stages, where you may still struggle to really see the depth of the self-structure. And this brings me to the topic of where this is maybe related and where some of that teaching may actually be helpful, is with the idea of momentum in practice. So at a certain point you have maybe practiced for so long and so intensely, and you have done it the right way, and even though the motivation came from the ego, from the self, it has revealed some of its aspect to you and has undermined those, and there has been a momentum building where you could see where this point comes, where you have meditated so much, you have done mindfulness in daily activities so often that you get the sense you are being meditated. And when you get to that point where you sit in meditation and you realize, oh, I'm not doing the meditation is doing itself, or it's doing me, that it is being done for you, that is really the point to say, okay, let me see how much I can ride out this momentum. Maybe there's really nothing to do and I can see how this process unfolds. But it's also a slippery slope, because for some of you at certain stages of insight you can backslide with that strategy, and you have to be aware of that and mindful that this is not going to happen for you. So when you notice that you become less conscious, that the meditation is happening spontaneously less often, while you just let go of control and being the driver of meditation, so to speak, then certainly it's time again for focused practice. So you have to see where, if you're at that point already where this teaching of there is nothing to do, you're already enlightened, where it can be a good guiding point of letting go into deeper understanding and presence. But for most people, there is still a lot of practice needed before they reach that point. And most people are not at that point yet. You certainly, in most cases, need to have a lot of meditation under your belt, so to speak, before you can really recognize what I said earlier. This feeling of everything is being done for you, as in this meditation habit that I have been building and building and building is driving itself, as much as all the other stuff in my life is actually also driving itself. But the meditation practice is the drive to wake up, and once that's firmly established, then yes, you can ride it out all the way, maybe even to enlightenment. Though it will involve many different degrees and levels of complexity, where yes, your thinking mind, your analytical mind, learning new teachings will all be involved in that, and you cannot exclude anything out of that drive to wake up and say, oh, only this part of my experience, that's what's driving itself, because in other areas you still have the feeling of that's done by the self. So yeah, that's not easy to judge, but it's subtle. It's a subtle difference. And I hope this gives you a little bit of a feeling for whether this idea of being already enlightened is helpful for you or not. For most people, and especially beginners, I don't see the value in that. Other than maybe being a motivation for more presence, for living in the now, where maybe this can give you the idea of, okay, you don't have to live so much in your conceptual mind-created world and don't get sucked into that. But I find that in and of itself is not enough. You will get, without properly structured practice, you will get pulled back into the mind-created reality over and over again. And just hearing you're already enlightened, be here now, is too little for most people, too unstructured, too little guidance of what they should actually do, where to place attention. And so yeah, it's a difficult teaching for sure. So I hope this gives clarity, and I would say ignore this teaching and go for more structured practice, for more really precise instructions, until you reach that point where it's like you really realize on a deep level in every and continuously in many meditation sessions that there is no self doing this. Then you can explore this letting go and diving and riding out the momentum. Yeah, so I hope this was helpful. If you want guidance, if you want a conversation with me, you can go to my website, to the coaching tab, and you can book a session there with me. They are based on your chosen donation, so whenever you feel the need and you want guidance on your practice, feel free to contact me, and we can talk about your practice. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.